Let's roll. Rocking my bucket hat here from rugbybuckets.com. Looks the bee's knees. Get that on. Shame about the results, but you know, what can you do? Still got to support the boys.
I believe in you.
I just wrapped an absolute banger of a conversation with Kyle Smith in episode 71, and I've got to say, this one kind of hit a bit different. I like the guy anyway. Got on with him. He had a nice chill vibe about him. We went deep on kind of mindset, self-sabotage, and how we can kind of rewrite the negative narratives running in our heads. And trust me, this bad boy is as negative as it gets. So if you've ever felt stuck, like, you know, your own thoughts working against you or keep putting yourself down, then you really need to hear this. So let's break down the episode. If you're new here, I'm Aaron. I'm the host of They Not Like Us, where we generally dive into raw, unfiltered conversations that kind of challenge the way we think. That's the premise behind it. That's what we try to do. Depends on the guests who we get on, about what we talk about. Sometimes it goes down different routes, different angles, but generally that's the vibe and that's what we're after. So in this episode, Kyle was one of those that kind of makes you stop and think about how much control we actually have over our life and over our mindset especially. So let's get into some of the biggest takeaways. Kyle's approach is he has a company called Clarity Consulting essentially, and he does kind of NLSE, which is essentially Neuro-Linguistic Somatic experience.
Speak English, please.
It was like, I didn't know what that was as well. When I kind of researched it, it was all above my pay grade. But essentially, Kyle's approach to kind of NLSE is all about helping people rewrite their internal narratives, essentially. So we all have this kind of internal narrative, the stories that we run and that we tell ourselves that, you know, some are useful, but a lot of them kind of hold us back. It kind of works to break up the loops. This is what the NLSE does. It kind of breaks up those negative loops that we have in our head so we can actually kind of move forward with things. So because part of my research I did for the show, in looking up, I found out that 80% of our thoughts are negative, which is huge, right? And, you know, with those words alone, you're just constantly reinforcing negative narratives, horrible stuff in your head. So, and there's a quote I think that Kyle used is, with my words, I create. In negative narratives and the kind of societies that we live in nowadays, we don't realise how much our thoughts are shaped by the world around us. Society leans towards negative bias. It's why bad news spreads faster than good news, and all news on TV is bad news. The problem is if we're not careful, then negativity gets wired into our thinking. Kyle talks about how to spot it and how to kind of start flipping the script, essentially. So we all have a negative bias. Self-sabotage and procrastination is just our mind kind of finding ways to keep us in the familiar, really, because, you know, no one likes change. Because, you know, change, even when it's good, feels uncomfortable. And we're after that status quo to kind of stay in the comfort zone. So he uses breathwork and neurodiversity to reclaim your focus, essentially. Yeah, so one of the most interesting topics or parts of the conversation is about kind of breathwork and focus, especially for people who kind of struggle with attention, like me. Kyle kind of broke down how something as simple as controlling your breath can shift your whole mindset in minutes. Honestly, if you've never tried it, it is worth experimenting, and that's kind of what the whole meditation thing is built on as well. It's that kind of breath work and bringing your attention to your breath, that kind of stuff, all right? And essentially, you know, breath work is one of the fastest ways to reset your stress levels. Again, that's something I found in my research, which I found was quite mad. But honestly, this was one of those kind of episodes that make you rethink everything. The way you talk to yourself is so important. You know, the words we use, the stories we tell, all of it matters way more than we think. So here's my challenge to you. Pay attention to your self-talk for the next 24 hours. What are you repeating to yourself? Are you building yourself up or breaking yourself down? Let me know in the comments. So the full episode, I'll link it in the description below. Go check it out. And if you've got value from this, hit like, subscribe, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. And then if you like it, I'll make more of these little episode wash-ups about the podcast to, you know, really condense what we've learned and kind of bring some of the ideas forward to you. But if you like it, subscribe, drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.